Now that the campaign is finished, we'll want to take a look and see how that campaign did. We can go to the statistics page and find the results of the campaign here. I have another campaign that has a little bit more interesting data that I'll show you here. At the very top, we get an overview of how the campaign performed. You can see at a glance how many messages were accepted, bounced, or if there were messages still in the queue, you can see that number here as well. You can see the engagement by looking at the opens and clicks stats, and you can see how many people complained about spam or unsubscribed from the list. Since we used a split test, we can see those results here. We can look at the stats as they were when the winner was selected. You get a big warning to show that these are not the current stats, but rather this is a snapshot of the stats that were taken when the winner was selected. In this case, we didn't have any unique clicks, so Content A ended up being the winner. From here, you can also compare the portions of the list, and if you have more than 2 contents, you can check or uncheck the boxes to compare just those specific contents. For the rest of these stats, you'll see a pretty common format. The summary data here in the top left, the graphs on the right, and then the detail broken down below. Each section can also be downloaded for use outside of Studio. For clicks, you have some additional data. In addition to the totals, you can see which URL was clicked and how each one performed compared to the others. For any of those clicks, you can see what subscriber clicked, which email address, and what their source IP was and when they clicked. GreenArrow categorizes bounces into 3 main categories: hard, soft, and other. Hard and soft bounces are problems with the recipient, so those can cause a subscriber to be deactivated. Other bounces are problems with you as a sender and would never cause a subscriber to be deactivated. We can see some examples of those different types of bounces. A hard bounce is typically just an invalid email address, so we deactivate that after 1 hard bounce by default. Soft bounces are sometimes temporary errors. They're things like DNS problems, if the subscriber's mailbox is full, things along those lines. They're problems that are a problem for this email and could be a problem in the future, but aren't necessarily a permanent problem. So we require multiple soft bounces to happen over the course of 10 days before we deactivate the subscriber. If, for example, an email gets through on the 9th day, then the counter resets, and if they start bouncing again, they'll have to go 10 more days with those delivery failures. As I mentioned, other bounces are problems with the sender, so it would not cause a subscriber to be deactivated. These are most commonly mail blocks for things like spam, reputation issues, or sometimes network issues. Here we have the same data as above broken down by domain, so you can see any domains that might have potential problems that need to be addressed. In this section, we can actually see each of the individual bounces. We can see the address that bounced, the type of bounce that it was, and then we can mouse over the code to see the raw data that GreenArrow received from the delivery failure, which we used to categorize the bounce. So in this case, we can see that the remote host said that the mailbox doesn't exist. Next, we can review any spam complaints that came in for this campaign. We can look at the top domains that receive complaints. This can be useful to see if we have any particularly problematic domains. Next, we can review any unsubscribes that come in. If you used GreenArrow Monitor Seed List like we talked about when we set up the mailing list, you'll see those inbox delivery rates populated here. This top section gives you an overview to give you an idea of how you did. And then down below, You can see the results by ISP. This gives you a quick and easy way to see your delivery results. We can tell very quickly that we have some problems at AOL and Hotmail, and that those extend out to MSN, which is also related to the Hotmail domain. But otherwise, we can see that most of the rest of these look pretty good. This starts to build the picture of your deliverability. You can use this data along with some of the other stats that I'll show you in a moment to really determine if you have any delivery problems and what you can do about them. This next section shows you the SMTP delivery results grouped by domain, listed in order by the top most common domain. Now these are obviously some testing domains, so this data is not going to be particularly interesting. But in your case, you may want to come across here and click the failures to see why your messages failed. You can click to view the results for each individual message as well. You can search this for a particular email address, and it will allow you to find and see exactly what happened to each individual email.